Hello and welcome back to the Fae banner review, where we talk about Shez because we have a new legendary banner consisting of 11 units who think they matter and one new unit that actually matters. Interestingly, with Shez being here, we now have every avatar as a legendary hero. Just ignore male and female Chris, but Intelligent Systems already does that often enough for us, so don't worry if that's too much of an ask. However, I would never forget either Chris or you, the viewer, if you subscribe to the channel right now, because if you don't, then I know you'll forget to do so later. This video will most likely be on the shorter side of 8 to 9 minutes long because we only have one new unit, whereas banners with multiple units end up with a video that's on the higher end of 8 to 9 minutes long. I will also not be using the coveted line graph that may or may not be a line graph because this banner is really all about one unit. So instead, I'll do the next best thing. There is no next best thing, but we're still gonna talk about Shez.
This blade comes.
Okay, so male Shez, the dual sword master, is a winged legendary infantry dagger unit who wields dual sword. Off to a great start, Intelligent Systems. Okay, let's see, what does dual sword do? Dual sword has slaying, the ability to attack twice in both phases, which means 2, which means twice. That's a lot of twice. It has stats on the foe, but negative, and it works for his allies' combats as well. True stats, but only from the foe's first hits, and full tempo. Also, it has a might penalty, as does every Brave PRF except maybe like Spring Sylvain, Abel, Kane, Stall, Laszlo, New Year Sather, Pirate Hinoka, Summer Ivy, Summer Claude, Summer Micaiah, Summer Edelgard, Summer Dimitri. A lot of summer units actually, except it comes with a bunch of stats anyway, so that 8 might is more like 20 something might. I don't know why they even bother penalizing it. The full tempo part on his kit is pretty cool actually, because it means if he had some sort of guard effect in his kit, then he could shut off a lot of specials in practice. That's called foreshadowing. I'm wondering how bulky he'll end up being though, because with all those stats and true stats, he might end up being somewhat difficult to enemy phase, but that's only if you're not using Emblem. And if you're not using Emblem, then
Kill yourself!
It's too bad you couldn't run Potent Disarm or Disarm Potent or whatever it's called on him, because 5 attacks would absolutely destroy Emblem. Maybe he's doomed to mediocrity because his B slot is currently occupied by his PRF skill. This is the part of the video where I would start talking about his PRF B skill. He also comes with a PRF B slot in Shadow Slide, which seems pretty cool until you realize it has a lot of text. And I know I'm not reading all that. I don't really have a choice, do I? Okay, let's see. It has true stats, stats on the foe, but negative, true stats again. It reduces stats from the foe, except it's not a debuff. It has warping if an ally enters combat. Both warps are also 2 space warps, which makes the warping even stronger, and pass to ensure that you can warp. So if I'm understanding this correctly, the main takeaway from Shadow Slide is that it is a B slot. It has a heavy dependency on his allies, which might be okay, but it means he'll have to wait 25 turns before he can begin his assault. The pass effect is at least pretty solid, even if it requires an ally to enter combat first, but if that ally can't get in for whatever reason, then he can't either, which means his team loses, which would make him a Shez. I can't imagine it'd be too hard, at least with the Celica ring also existing, although the idea of a Celica ring Felix followed up by a Shez makes me pray that no one figures out that combination and makes it more widespread. Ignore what I just said. You know, the more I think about it, the more I'm not actually sure if this being in his B slot is that great, because we have a lot of coveted options in that slot, but I guess it could have been worse. Wait, no, it couldn't have been worse. This is definitely the worst slot it could have been in. You know, his fodder's not too bad either. He has Finish and Ruptured Sky, which I'm pretty sure has only been on a Byleth. Fun fact, and then he also has Pulse Smog, and this should be pretty good because it's a new inheritable from a limited unit, so I guess that's the by default logic. Let's see, it has stats, negative stats but on the foe, guard but again, super guard, and it shuts off specials if initiating combat. Kind of like guard. Honestly, this Pulse Smog skill seems kinda neat. It seems good on a lot of nukes because the only tank in the game right now is Emblem, and that shuts off Emblem, so that makes it good. Just ignore that legendary male Lear exists and is probably the ceiling for any tank currently, but hey, it stops Emblem and also Brave Alphonse because of his special reliance, but Brave Alphonse is kind of like a brick wall, whereas Emblem is like a brick pillar. You see where I'm getting at? I fucking hate bricks. It's kind of funny though because we have Emblem and Fallen Lumera on the banner sharing with Shez. So if Pulsemug does end up being inheritable to dragons, then you could duplicate Lagu's friend and Pulsemug on Fallen Lumera so that you can have both a tank and a nuke factory all in one. The only caveat is that you'd need multiple copies to get any mileage out of that, so you may not be able to do it unless you're me. Thanks to today's sponsor, me. I'm so tired. I'm really fucking tired, guys. He sniffs out the smell of battle. So what, does he like take a big whiff before casually throwing knives at somebody? Like, you smell that, summoner? Smells like a... Although I gotta wonder, what if he got like a whiff of like the nastiest hero in Fae? He'd probably shrivel up and die on the spot if he smelled someone gross like Fallen Lloyd, because we all know he smells like shit. Or maybe somebody like Eldigan, because, you know, he probably dropped more than the soap if you catch my drift. He dropped his head too. You know, because he was beheaded back in chapter 3. Dumb smelly bitch.
Go ahead and come.
You could tell he's a strong unit because he kills the deer dude, but you know who else kills the deer dude? All the pollution in the air, as well as forest fires. Also a modicum amount of nukes in general, but hey, that's pretty good for a nuke. I would say his damage output is similar to that of Brave Bernadetta's, if not a bit weaker, because less true damage, but whether that's a good or bad thing will wholly depend on what you think about her combat. I would say it's still alright, but tanking is definitely improved, and the more skills that continue to drop that improve the role, the more this video will continue to age poorly, but that's okay because eventually I'll be able to release my coveted sequel, Player Phase is Dead. Oh, wait. But yeah, he seems decent. Can't say I have many complaints, but did you know that the Brave banner has more than one awesome option? In fact, it has 4. Well, you probably would have known if you were liked and subscribed and saw my video on it. I don't even know how to end this video. I don't even know how I ended the last time I made a video like this. The sheep goat lady is pretty strong, to be honest, and the deer dude is also there, and people like him. Although we do have CYL in 2 weeks, so don't come crying to me if you end up regretting blowing your fat load on the deer dude. Okay, I'm not ending the video like that again. So, Shez,